Peace, YouTube. I hope you can see me. That I'm using my laptop. You know, I generally don't use my laptop for live. So peace to the east, the west, north, and the south. This is Florun coming to you today for another topic of discussion. So it's really weird how this shows up. I hope you can. I haven't ever used my laptop. Rarely do I use my laptop to do my lives. So this is going to be a really interesting topic. So I'll wait until a few of you check in. Like I said, peace to the east, the west, north, and the south. Checking in. So we're going to get into a really interesting conversation about spiritual workers and the diabolical side of that and such. Hey everyone, I see all the family in here. Peace to the IG family. Peace to the Cipher peeps. Peeps to the celestial family. So, as I was discussing, I think I was discussing this in a group on my take on a lot of the spiritual workers that are now coming online. We can kind of start off on that topic. Now, many years ago, I think for the most part, I think for those who have been part of the aware community, the spiritual community, the metaphysical community, the occult community, basically those who are connected to the communities that are always big into spiritual types of conversations or that genre. We know from, depending on what sect or what year you're coming from, we're pretty astute in knowing how spiritualists showed up. And many of you know, because you've had readings with all these amazing people from back in the days and now, how that kind of shows up. Now, what I wanted to discuss is the dark side of psychic readings and the dark side of spiritual intuitives that are utilizing you as a portal to be able to hijack your chi, hijack your abundance, and utilize you also to see within your future and also change or alter your view and place you in a timeline that they are projecting upon you based on their sinister connection to some of the darker beings and also some of their non-connectivity to even being spiritual. They're basically just charlatans utilizing spirituality as a way to gain a come up, and gain it as an income. So I'm going to talk about the dark side of spiritualists and what should be noted, and also how you should be mindful engaging with those who you can't vet out their intentions, and also putting so much reliance on something spiritually outside of yourself and not taking enough credit or basically reclaiming your own inner knowing and starting to cultivate yourself a little more, cultivate your own spiritual intuitiveness in order to be able to read and register your own aspect of the different futuristic versions of yourself, or how you would show up futuristically, or what's going on with you in the matrix as far as present day time. So, like I said, back in the days, some of us who are a little more seasoned, big up to our seasonistas. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around. I have this thing on my bum and it's kind of bothering me right now. I'm sitting on it, but it's okay. So, many of us who come from the back, and when I say back in the days, obviously I'm not ancient. I am ancient. People always ask my age. I am ancient. But in this avatar, I'm fairly. Oh, thank you, Wanda. I appreciate it. Thank you. I wanted to talk about when we used to go back in it. When I say back in the days, I'm talking about maybe 12, 13 years ago, when people would go to psychics to read their future and kind of get a general consensus of what was going on in their lives. And, maybe just not having enough, not enough self-awareness, or even having enough self-esteem to know and utilize your very own intuitive knowing within yourself. So we used to go back in the days, and I always include myself. Back in the days, I didn't go to tons of psychics, but back in the days, going to readers, you go to some of these psychic fairs, you see you pick a person based on visuals sometimes. My biggest thing back in the days when I was young, and I'm talking about in my 20s, like in my late teens and early 20s in New York City. Big up to all our New York City brethren. Wait, hold on. I'm looking at my, hold on. Hold on. I'm looking at the chat, just making sure. I don't see it moving. Okay. Whoops. Sorry, family. Okay. There it goes. We go to people. My biggest thing back in the days when I was in 20s, I wanted to go to certain women of certain backgrounds, especially Westchester's in the house. What about Hudson River? Hudson River knows what I'm talking about. Back in the days, we go to our little psychic fairs. Westchester County, we had a few, like White Plains. Sometimes you have it in there. We had a lot of things in Manhattan, and we used to go to a lot of psychic fairs and go and get readings from people. Like I said, I used to go to women that I generally thought were from the same background as myself, because I felt like they could pull better from the ancestral collective. And I think that's very important anyway. If you were going to anyone, it's good to go within the lines. Like some of our Celtic Sea Stars, I always say, if you're doing that, I used to say, stay amongst your ancestral lines, because you can only pull from they can only pull from what they have access to. And if they don't have access to the Akashic records, which they shouldn't have access to it if they're not from your particular lineage, then you're basically getting someone who has taken information probably from a being that they're getting intel from, that is utilizing their avatar to disperse up information. And also you have to be careful, because there's a lot of charlatans who end up being readers or psychics basically for a come up. It's easy to tell somebody, get a basic consensus of somebody just by, looking at them, especially people are good readers, especially in New York. They can read you, if you come with certain jewelry, they know what you like. If you have a certain demeanor, if you're going there sad, they'll always ask you questions at the beginning. Sometimes, they'll basically kind of like register you like a hustler and basically give you a general consensus of what they know based on just people reading, being a phenomenal people readers. Okay. So we used to do things like that back in the days. I say we, because a lot of us have progressed in ascended past. And I remember going to a wonderful workshop, again, in Manhattan, because I was, many of you know, I went to college. I also went to my university. Big up to all our universityites in New York City. So I went to the university, and I remember going to a spiritual, like a little thing, a little collective, like you sit down and you kind of, learn your breathing techniques. You learn to connect to center yourself. And I remember the actual instructor saying, you know what, instead of always going outside of yourself, there isn't any true answer other than what's within. So instead of focusing on trying to go out in the collective to get information, splinters of information on yourself, why not cultivate yourself and become the all-knowing of self? Because you have access to all points of reference in your own DNA. So you are the past, you are the present, and you are the future. And that access to those portals are all within you. And if you learn to master yourself and to working on self-awareness, learning to center yourself, having frames of reference as far as how you get into a zone where you're allowed to read or register, or utilizing tools that will allow you to pull from your own ancestral base or your own higher self, or access your own Akashic records, which are in your very DNA. You can actually go beyond, why give other people access to you? So fast forward, as I got more seasoned and time's gone on, I've seen a huge boom of psychic readers all over YouTube and social media, more than I'm comfortable with. And if you don't know, even within my own circle, I talked about a dark being that was connected to me, and I was having him do astrological charts. Come to find out, he was using crafts and forms of sacred geometry and occult rituals to do things to myself and also to entrain my people. So after that, I kind of got it when I had my own inceptor. When I had someone who was basically utilizing me as an access point in order to access anyone I had access to, and also trying to sidebar my own personal mind, my own personal try to overcome my free will. I realized that we are giving too many, notice I said we are giving too many beings access to ourselves via these pseudo conscious, psychic intuitives that we allow to get access to us. And not only get access to us, we bypass our own auric protection shield. Remember, I told you I have 0 welcome mats on the outside of my door. So basically, you're putting a welcome mat when you allow a reader to go into a stranger who you have not vetted out. Now, let's go a little further. So you basically allowing strangers to go within you and to access points within you. You basically are giving them you're opening your doors to a stranger, someone who hasn't vetted themselves out. You don't know their family dynamics. And if you do, we'll get into that in a minute. You don't know their family dynamics. You don't know their social logical patterns or their ethical or moral base. You're not sure of their religious or spiritual background, what things they do. So you may be going to a spiritualist who's a Satanist. They're basically a psychic reader, but they're a Satanist. They may sacrifice animals, children. They may be participating in rituals. And also they may be accessing your gifts. So if someone is going to read you and they realize how abundant you're going to be, that's what that being was utilizing with me. They saw my future. And what they knew is they wanted to attach themselves to me. So they utilized part of my portal to be able to attach to me so that they can also collect on the abundance that was coming to me. So they're parasites. So by the very nature of you going to a psychic reader that you haven't vetted out is, normal. And there was another a lady who was part of the collective group who calls herself, her name was Maria back in the days. And she was giving readings to people, saying she was a psychic angel reader. And meanwhile, in her own personal life, that was chaotic. She had a lot of darkness. Her language, the way she cursed, also you have to watch the verbiage of people who are considered to be spiritualists. If someone's always cursing, we know that words and vibration are everything. If someone's always cursing or hostile in their life, they're always getting in fights or starting issues with people, or they're always throwing people under the bus. If you're going to a spiritualist and they're on live stream talking about other people's charts and talking about what they've learned from other people's, there isn't a HIPAA, no one signed a HIPAA release for them to read off their personal chart or to tell you their personal information via social media when they just did a reading for you. And meanwhile, they're spilling all your beans, your tea on social media of all your personal, whatever they read from you. So there isn't an ethical, moral compass unless you have vetted a spiritualist out. And don't get me wrong, because I think the one person that I know who's amazing is Aluna Ash. Big up to Aluna Ash. Aluna Ash is vetted. She has a very wonderful, very soft spirit. And just in her vibration alone, just if you have some basic discernment, you can feel the level of integrity. You can feel the level of love. You can feel the level of concern and empathicness. This is Aluna Ash. So big up to Aluna Ash. If you've not checked out Aluna Ash, and again, she's been a part of this platform for a while. And I always say this because when I give something like this, people are saying who she's talking about. I'm going to tell you who I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about Aluna Ash. She's amazing. And we're talking about that's someone who you can feel her vibration and it precedes her. So this isn't even somebody who could even go into that neck and say anything because her vibration precedes her. But I'm talking about dark beings who are all of a sudden, when they are not making money in other arenas, they've failed at everything else they've tried to do in ciphering and parasiting off the spiritual community. They usually default to going into being an intuitive reader or a psychic reader. This is the diabolical part about psychics and intuitives that are only coming into this arena based on fiat, trying to parasite off of people. They aren't vetted in their own personal life. If you ask a psychic or intuitive reader about their background, which you shouldn't have to ask, because a healthy intuitive reader and a healthy spiritualist should be transparent in their life, meaning that the way that they show up with their children is transparent. It's, you can see it based on their own demeanor. There isn't any secretiveness in the way that they show up in the world. Their relationships, if you have someone who's giving you relationship counseling and coaching, their relationship should be pretty stable or cohesive in their own realm in order to be able to coach you and get you to a healthy homeostasis with your own relationship. If a lot of times you're going to spiritualists or to psychic readers and everything in their personal life is chaotic, and also a healthy, spiritual, or self-aware person is highly abundant. Meaning that when someone is very connected to self, very heightened in self-awareness, they are abundant in their life. They show up without the necessity to have to utilize their spiritual, being. I don't say gift because it's part of who everyone has the capability of utilizing it if they're healthy. Not even if they're healthy, if they've mastered certain level of registering others' frequencies and being able to pull from those beings information via sometimes the ancestrals that are on your outside, or pulling, if you've let them in, pulling from your own portal through your first eye. Sometimes they have the ability to do that. So it doesn't mean that they're good light workers, because we know that dark workers do that as well. That's why I'm making this video, because not everything that glitters is gold. And I noticed that there's a huge amount of psychics and intuitives online that have basically overwhelmed YouTube and I guess IG and FB, and they're all saying that they're psychics. Oh, I'm going to do a reading for you, and I could do this for you. But this is what I say, family. Whenever I give you an idea of or a concern, I want to give a remedy, and I give you tools to identify someone who is not spiritually healthy enough to allow you to open, which I don't think you should let anyone who you don't know personally. Listen, the only psychic that I would say that I would think that you should be okay with is if they're in your family. I'm being honest. I personally know that the only people that you should generally trust with certain information, as far as your lineage, as far as your abundance or how you show up in the world, should only be people in your family. And even that is a little sketchy based on people's family dynamics being unhealthy. When you allow stranger danger inside of your auric fields, and you basically are putting a welcome mat and allowing them access into a part of you that should be closed off to anyone outside of you on a regular basis, just for the prospect that most people have deities and ancestors connected to them that may be adverse to you. Every time you allow them to come in there, they have access to you in a way, and they may have access to your gifts, your abundance, future aspects of you, other timeline versions of you, and they may be able to basically parasite or hijack those aspects that they see futuristically, and may tell you or may keep that information to themselves and utilize you as a portal when they do their rituals after they do their reading with you. It was, I remember, big up to the dark ones on here. The dark ones don't really hide from me. Fleur Broom walks amongst the lines of many different groups with respect and with a certain level of cohesiveness, because many beings respect me, because I am pretty neutral amongst all lines, unless they are aggressive or egregious to humanity in a more diabolical way. Then I just kind of just leave a nice little healthy border up to let them know you stay in your lane and I will stay in mine. But other than that, I have a healthy liaison with most. But what I had noticed is with some of the darker beings that I'm aware of, there were conversations I've heard on their platforms where they're doing readings of people, or they're getting access to people who they know will come into inheritances later, or have a certain gift that they're unaware of. So they will access those people's gifts and utilize it for self, like a hijacking kind of thing, and attach themselves to those people without the people even knowing that they basically just went in for a reading. And now they don't realize why every time they're walking around now, they're exhausted. They're not realizing that they're having nightmares, or they're feeling like they're being pulled in their dreams, or sometimes they feel like other people's thoughts are coming into their mind. They haven't realized that they've been hijacked by the spiritual intuitive reader that they've allowed to come in and access themselves by basically putting a welcome mat when you go and pay for services. When you exchange an energetic exchange by giving them fiat for them to pull into you and give them access to you and say, hey, there you go. Read me. When you allow somebody to open the door for Pandora's box like that, then you have to realize that that door may always stay open unless you cognitively, or you are so self-aware that you know to close the door when that is done. And you aren't really sure if someone walks into your door and it's full of treasures, that they're not going to try to see what you have, hijack your own gifts or whatever you come with, and utilize that in a dark way on the other side. So, with the heightened amount of spiritual readers online, and also knowing some of the spiritual readers that are out there are basically charlatans, and how I can denote that they're charlatans, because again, I've vetted that when someone is healthy spiritually and they have these, I don't want to say gifts, they have this natural ability to register others' information, they will be naturally abundant. And they'll be abundant in a way that it's not a necessity to pay their bills from doing readings. If they have to pay the only way that they can pay their bills and the only way that they're getting by with buying groceries is by doing readings, chances are they're unhealthy. They're a energetic parasite. They're utilizing spirituality and psychic readings that are now, open borders online. They talk, President Trump is talking about open borders at the Mexican, American line. No, there's open borders here on social media spiritually, because you have all these parasites and these beings on here utilizing this new spiritual awakening, which is happening. Everybody's awakening. The ascension process is here. Many people are becoming more self-aware, heightening their receptivity to going past their limitation and religion. So now they're opening up themselves to other realms of possibility and plausibilities. But with that also comes you becoming susceptible to the many parasites and vampires that are here. And there's a host of them calling themselves intuitives, saying they're going to do your charts. Now, listen, family, this is what Flurburn will give you as a remedy. Because again, I won't ever come to you and give you a problem without at least trying and attempting or giving you a solution. My number one thing is, if you are going to go to a reader, which I totally told you that I am totally against, because I think it's unhealthy for you, because when you're really spiritual and healthy, you can read yourself. So I'm going to give you some tools and references that can help you do your own, intuitive readings for yourself, your own readings within yourself. And also, if you have children, I'm going to give you a way to also tap into your ancestral line with your babies, because they have the codes a little less muffled or muted. So I'll give you that in a minute. But let me just tell you. So if you decided against my suggestion to go and have a stranger danger, we tell our children to stay away from strangers or someone because sometimes what I learned is having a being attached to me who called himself not a healer, but called himself a reader. I knew this being. I knew him. I didn't know he was hijacking people until after the fact. And many of you know this, but I knew him. So it's not always strangers. Sometimes it's people that are doing readings that you've known done, but they're doing diabolical things behind closed doors. Okay. So rather than this, if you aren't able to see someone's life fully, okay, so you've decided to go and get a reader, right? This is what you've decided against my better against your better judgment, right? You should be able to vet them out. So what does vetting them out mean? Meaning that this person isn't far away from you, so you can see their family dynamics. Meaning that if you have a reader near you, you can see where they go into the grocery store. You can see the people around them saying hello to them. Hey, Jack, how are you doing? You can also vet out that their family dynamics are healthy. If they have trauma in family, meaning they got family members cursing them out every week, they got children that are toxic based on being traumatized from their own hands to their children. So if they have children that's showing up trauma in the world, you can also see it. Because remember, fruit, how a fruit shows up and how healthy a fruit is will show the healthiness of a tree. Okay, so if you see a reader and their children are chaotic or cursing that person out all the time, or their children are sick in mentality, I'm not talking about like something like a physical ailment or anything. I'm talking about like mentally unstable. That is a sign that you need to exit stage left. Don't even go on the stage. Don't even go on the stage. that's when you utilize your personal discernment. Also, a reader should be transparent with you. Hey, how is your, I want to know a little bit about you. What brought you into this? Do you have family that brought you into this life? What are the things that you do? Transparency also details more honesty, more integrity. So the more integrity ridden a being is, the more transparent they'll be in a more legitimate way. So if you are very concerned about the legitimacy of a reader, asking them basic questions about their family dynamics, basically, it's just like going to a hairdresser. If you're going to a hairdresser and the hairdresser's hair is a mess, and they look like they've just not gotten sleep for like a day, would you sit in their chair to have them work on you and bring beauty to your mane? Probably not. So that is the same criteria that you would utilize to be able to procure yourself a proper reader. If this person is now a reader, but last week they were a painter, and the week before then they were doing something else, and they're basically a shapeshifter into different genres because they're trying to get a come up and they're trying to find a niche, chances are that's not somebody that you want as a reader, because they're very waverly, meaning that this isn't who they were. This is who they are based on the necessity to pay their bills or to find a certain commerce that makes their life a little easier. So that's another way that you can vet someone out. If they haven't been doing this a while and they're changing their mind or changing their genre of practices every other 2 months or 3 months, that's also a sign. Physical healthiness. If someone is physically unhealthy looking visually, and this is where you can make a judgment, chances are that they're having some issues spiritually, because whatever's going on inside of us will show up on our physicality. So if someone looks like they're highly overweight, okay, that's a sign that they're suffering from trauma or they're storing, and you have someone who's storing, they may utilize you as a purge. Someone who looks maybe very sickly or unhealthy, or their hair is not healthy, that is also a sign that they are suffering from something physically that is hampering them. And remember, everything is relative. So meaning that whatever trauma someone's dealing with, whatever problems that a person has will show up and manifest physically, and you will be able to detail it on them. Someone with really bad skin is also a detail that they have a lot of anger problems. If you know the basic metaphysics of the physical body, then you should be able to procure yourself a proper reader. A proper reader should look healthy, skin, body, and energy-wise. They should also be able to mute themselves and be able to disperse. Many of the Eurobists, I don't know if many of you go to Eurobist practice. The healthiest practitioners that I find are Eurobist. Why I say this is because anytime I've seen a Eurobist do readings, they always have clearers and muters around them. So Eurobists tend to clear with water, and they tend to do a lot of actions like African diaspora type of stuff, like, shaking off their hands, rubbing the energy off their hair, almost like a surgeon. A surgeon is always scrubbing their arms before they're about to go into surgery, like a doctor. It's the same thing. So whenever you go to an intuitive or a reader, you have to make sure that they clear themselves, because if they're reading a multitude of people that are sick, it's basically they're carrying the diseases with them, and part of that will be dispersed upon the people if they haven't had proper cleaning of themselves. So gaining weight. Yeah, sometimes people gain weight, usually spiritualists, and that's usually a detail. Spiritualists tend to take things in. And sometimes what happens is you bulk. When you get a lot of energy or attacks on you, your body will naturally bulk. That's also how I know somebody's also a reader, because usually you'll see readers be a little bulky, but if they're highly overweight, it means they're not dispersing of the energy properly. They're kind of storing it in them. And when they have that much stored stuff in them, you got to be careful, because you don't know when that's going to blow or where that's going to go, or if that's kind of like you'll get a residual from that. Okay. Spiritualists who are, you got to be careful with people who are artificial. I give you all the signs, and this isn't a judgment, but this is just assistance for you to know. Artificial people who always wear makeup, too much makeup on their face. That's also a sign. If someone's masking themselves to you as a reader, it's a detail that they're not authentic. A healthy reader, like I said, will register healthy. I'm not saying you're not to wear makeup, but when someone's always wearing a lot of makeup on their face all the time and you haven't seen them with a clear palette, because usually readers usually want clear palettes to be able to register people properly. And if they have like nanotechnology, this is a little bit of my judgment, but what I've noticed, it's like if there are intuitives, I've gone out to places and I've seen I've gone to places where they have like a multitude of readers and I see these women like pasted with tons of makeup on their face, which is nanotech. That's another thing that I would be concerned about around this time, because we have nanobots on a lot of people and people wearing lipstick and nanobots on their skin. Chances are you don't know what's registered. You have AI attached to them as well. This is why I'm going to give you tools to be able to help yourself to read and register yourself and do your own practical readings, and to be able to register all the things that you desire to know, to see if you're on the right track, to see where you're going, to see if the love mate that you desire is in your true arena. These are things that you can do yourself. Okay. So these are signs that people are unhealthy. Like I said, people who keep going from genre to genre, they're doing this, they haven't done this. Like if you've gone to a reader and all of a sudden they're now a master reader, but 6 months ago, their other fantasy was, doing something else. Chances are, like I said, they're Waverly. And you got to be careful with people who just jump into it. And what's the motivation to do it? Okay. Because most healthy readers generally end up being readers because people are requesting them based on their own vibration, being that type of ancient that shows up in an incarnated body that they remember as a spiritualist in a past life. So generally, they'll still carry that residue on them, and it makes them more susceptible to people always requiring for them to get advice or information. Those are people who have a little bit of that. It's not like I have to make. No, I don't want. Let me just say, I'm not criticizing people who wear makeup. I wear makeup every once in a while, but I'm just saying, if you're going to a reader and they aren't cleared, meaning that you're reading them and they have all kinds of nanotechnology on their face or on their body, that's a chance that you might have infiltration, because they're not even showing you their true self. Whenever someone's masking, remember, makeup is making up. What are you making up for? I look at you sea stars, I see the most beautiful sea stars in the world. The millennials tend to wear more makeup than some of us from Generation X. This is more of a pattern that's coming up with the younger generation. But I see some of the most amazing sea stars online that require zero makeup. They're beautiful. All of you are beautiful. I see you, some of you on my lives without any makeup. You're gorgeous. You're gorgeous. And like I said, if someone has to always hide themselves and they're always masking themselves, I would be concerned that isn't somebody that you necessarily should have a reading. And if they're physically unhealthy, meaning they're not working out every day, they're not clearing themselves, they have, family dynamics are a little unbalanced, financially they are suffering. These are parasitic type of beings just based on pattern of behavior in their own personal life. So if someone's a parasite, regardless if they know that they are or not, they are utilizing you for exchange of energy, because fiat is an exchange of energy. It's just energy. So they are asking for you to access your personal information that should only be for you. And they're already in poverty in their own life. So what do you think is going to happen when they get into your abundance and your amazing opening? And they see, oh my God, they open up your portal like, oh, she's going to be a superstar. Oh, she's going to be abundant. Oh my God, she's going to have a husband of her dreams. And they don't have a husband of their dreams, and they aren't living their best life, and they are living in a very very restricted way of being. What do you think they're going to do when they see all your abundance? I mean, I don't know how healthy most people are, but hustlers, not all people start off as hustlers. Sometimes they get access to other people's stuff and they want it for self. I don't see that many people necessarily, other than some of the healthier spiritualists in our community, that are able to pass by easy access to abundance, especially energetic abundance, that the other person doesn't even know they have, or they don't even know that they can access. Okay, so that's one of the things. So these are the things that you should look for in spiritualists if you go out. I would always recommend that at this point, in this stage in our evolutionary process, we're going through ascension. Many of you are going to start twinning. We got the purge going on. There isn't any necessity for you to go outside of yourself other than going to workshops. I agree with going to workshops and cultivating your own craft, to learning many things. Now, one of the books, I love this. I'm going to share. Oh, hold on. I'm going to share this. I went to big up to Nora and my admins, Nora and Selma. No, I think it was Selma. Selma was you. No, Nora. No, Nora was with me. I think Selma. No, Selma, you were with me when I got the book. So many of you know that I'm always a fan of you working on self, or me working on self, for us basically cultivating ourselves so that we can register our own information. Many of you got a chance for you to see me do the crystal ball reading for New Year's. And many people ask me, how come I don't do that for others all the time? I said, because that takes away from me and it pulls away from my energy, and you can feel it. I don't do that for others because it's not for others. It's for myself and my family. It's for me to see my future. It's for me and my offspring. There's certain things in your life that is meant for you and yours. It isn't anything selfish about it. It's about taking care of self first. So if something like that, where I have the ability to see and look into an aspect of the different timelines, and I can access that in a way that's healthy, wouldn't it make sense that I wouldn't want to shed that out of myself and cultivate that so I can utilize that for my own benefit and for my family's benefit? So that's why a lot of times you see when I do that, I did it for the New Year's. I think this New Year's only, right? This New Year's only I did it. And I probably will only do it one time a year. And also when I did it, I was pregnant at the time, and you can actually feel the pulling. You can actually feel the pulling, and you can actually feel the energy being taken out of you. Now, I don't like that feeling, so I won't do that. And I want to make sure I preserve self, because my first priority is me. And then my priority is my cubs, my offspring. And then my priority is my other family. And then my priority after that is my greater family, which is you guys. But I have to cultivate my own personal life. And not everything is for everyone. You should not be so transparent to the point where everything is put out on open street, because it isn't healthy either. Certain things I think are okay if it doesn't bother you, and if it's thrown in your face, it's not going to cause you trauma or your family embarrassment. But other things are your personal business, and you shouldn't share with everyone. And you should know how to register yourself, and be careful of going to these charlatans who will take your readings and go on social media and talk about your personal business on. Oh, I read this girl. I saw this woman talking about everybody she read, and then going and doing a live and talking about everybody's personal business. That is a violation. That is a universal violation, to go and do readings and then to basically share people's personal life readings that they paid you. And again, we don't sign the HIPAA laws, because there aren't necessarily HIPAA laws in spiritual readings, but they go and share that information with the public media. So basically, you have parasites who take the information that you're giving to them, and they may attack that person spiritually or in the ether realm based on you giving their personal information, like almost like giving their medical records. Giving spiritual records is just as much a violation, if not more, than giving medical records. It's really terrible ethically. So when you do a reading and you're going and telling your friends, you're laughing about somebody's heartache or their sadness or what's going on with them, or talking about their abundance or their inheritance that they're going to get in life, that's a violation of someone's that's a violation ethically. And there is a consequence when you do things like that. So I see a lot of you young millennials doing that, and it's really tragic, and it's really going to come and snap through you, because remember, karma doesn't wait anymore. Karma's right around the corner. And when you go and share someone's personal business, from doing readings and calling yourself a healer, and then sharing people's personal business about their sexual STDs and things like that on public media, there's going to be a consequence for you sharing someone's information. But sea stars and sun stars, there's also the consequence of you sharing and allowing people strangers access to your portals, to your informational portals, your spiritual portals. When you don't have the discernment, and you're allowing strangers or people that you haven't vetted out to trust enough to even allow them access to you in that personal way, you are basically getting the backlash of doing that. So you have to also pony up on the front end. If they do something on the back end, it's on them, but it's on you by you even giving them the information to even have that kind of that kind of, a power to hold over you. Okay. And also for those who get spiritual readings and also psychic readings who are doing it with remote healing or viewing, you are also giving someone access to your home. Okay. So we had several vampiric males who are utilizing a lot of females who are asking for healing, for remote healing. The females had to give the males access spiritually to their home base because they're not living and they're not getting the spiritual help or healing on site. So these beings now have access to your home. So now when you've decided that you're done with that being and you think the reading's over, basically the being can access your house. And a lot of times these men were being seen in the house utilizing, the access that they had to see the women naked or in bed, going to the bathroom, what have you. If you don't know that it's real, you should really look that up. That's a lot of these beings, especially males, parasitic males who are into spirituality. I told you, I have less trust. This is my personal opinion. Not everybody agrees. I'm not saying women are the bomb.com, but I have less trust in males doing spiritual work on a woman. I just, by nature, I don't care if he's straight or gay. I have less trust in a male doing any spiritual work on any woman, especially remote work, because what I've noticed is a parasitic type of behavior that's connected to the patriarchy that falls, that, kind of slides in that line of violation when they're going into accessing you in your bedroom, or they're sexually assaulting you in your room because now you've allowed this spiritual worker access to your home. The doors were never closed. So now he wants to see what you're doing. And if you were dating him and he's jealous, now he will mess with the men that are in your bed, or he'll put, hexes or whatever, and he can go in your space. So I just say, rather than deal with all that, let's start to work on self, become more self-aware, work on your own spiritual gifts, so you won't have a necessity of going to these, quick build a box spiritualists, build a bear spiritualists who basically they're saying they have read. I had somebody on my cipher who was taking pictures of people's eyes, and we had to tell him to stop, and he nearly attacked us and had a whole demonic breakdown when we told them he couldn't access people's eyes, because when people take pictures of your eyes, they can access certain things about you, and they can use you as doing spells and so on. So he had a problem with me saying that. So I'm saying, if you have a problem with me checking you on utilizing my people for diabolicalness, then it says that that's really what you were doing, because it wouldn't bother you if it wasn't your intent. So, okay, so let's do this. And then I'll talk about how we can remove certain things from and closing doors, because we always want to have resolvement. So one of the wonderful things that I had access to, and I'll talk about the other things that I utilized for doing my own, registering my own truths and different timelines and accessing. Many of you know I use the crystal ball. Actually, I had seen someone utilizing it before, and I didn't know if I could really do it, because based on, if you want to join Cypher, if you want to join Cypher, I know I haven't done an open door to Cypher. If you want to join Cypher, you can go to my admin's page. They set up a wonderful page with a questionnaire. It's a secret group on FB. It's a beautiful group, very loving. We have moms, grandmothers, sons, daughters, aunties. We have a beautiful family. Talk about metaphysics. It's very safe lane. We made it very safe. You can go to my Flurboon administration. No, it's called, what is it called now? I think we shapeshifted the name again. Is it Flurboon? I don't know if my admins are on here. Any of my admins on here now? I don't know if Nora or Selma's on here. I think it's called Aquarius Rising Ninth Gate Cipher, or administrator, or Flurboon Cipher. You can look it up as far as you'll find it. I think I'll put, Flurboon Ninth Gate. There we go. Thank you. Selma's on here. There's my admin. Thank you, Selma. Flurboon Ninth Gate. You can go to this secret group admin page. You take a questionnaire, and if you match the frequency of the group, you'll be, passed along into the group and enjoy just sharing. And it's very quiet, very nice group. We've kind of weeded out a lot of beings that weren't cohesive with the group, and it's really quite comfortable. So, and you'll be safe there. We make sure it's safe, and we have a protection shield over that group. So that, by the nature of being in the group, you have protection over you regardless. Anything associated with me, I always will protect. It's my nature. As a triple Sag, I have weapons of mass usage. So So I always protect anything that's associated with me. So astral rape. MK said astral rape. Yes, you have to be very careful of beings doing things to you, but you giving access to them. So anyway, Selma, do you remember? I think Selma, it was me and you. Remember Selma, I got that book? So Selma and me, it was after the conference. We went to one of the bookstores around me, and if anyone wants to know, I'm drinking bamboo charcoal water. I've infused it myself. So, remember we're talking about the clearing and cleansing. And a lot of my symptoms went away from my feet and everything when I started drinking this. So I bought some bamboo charcoal. For anyone who, usually I talk about this on IG, my bamboo charcoal, and I put in my own filtered water, and it's really, really good. It's really refreshing. My little ones, I give it to them once a day and they love it. It tastes so crisp. Remember, charcoal cleans water. For preppers, you already know this. Charcoal, in order to filter your water, you put it through charcoal. Okay, so we went to this bookstore that was near me, and this lady was like raving about this book. So this is the book. It's called Cards of Your Destiny. It's so weird because you're like, what is this? What is this weird book? Like she was like really going to, right, Selma? Selma, you remember? Selma, Selma, we got to do this because we got to do we're supposed to go, Selma, we're supposed to go talk, me, you, and Nora. But I'm going to, it's so on point. So anyway, she recommends this book, right, Selma? We got a bookstore. She recommends. So I got two. I didn't just get the one. I got the two. So I got this book and this one. This one's Love Cards, and this one. What's so weird about this? It was so strange, right? We went to the store and we're like, okay, she was raving. She was like, this is so true. It's on point. And she was like showing like the dates of your birth and times when you were born. It's like down to a science. Now, you know that someone alien or ET based or sacred geometry, really like someone who was sound in different timelines made this book because it's so insane and so on point. It's scary. I mean, for me to tell you this live, it's frightening. So this book, if you want to do it now, it kind of goes into like the regular cards, the regular playing cards, like 4 parts, the regular deck of cards, but it breaks everything down into your different genres of what card is your major card. And then it breaks you down into years, like the year of birth, like every year that you go, you kind of get a reading of your entire year, how it's going to go. And let me tell you, family, I vetted it out, and it's 1000%. I haven't ever, other than doing my own little things when I do my own readings, as far as like with the crystal ball or with my own cards and things like that. Those are things I've done well within myself. But I haven't ever had an outside source that could be the author is Robert Lee Camp. It's weird because when you get the book, you're going to be weirded out by it. And it's going to take you a minute to actually read the book and do it. But I haven't ever. And for me to recommend it, Robert Lee Camp, it's called Cards of Your Destiny, What Your Birthday Reveals About Your Past, Present, and Future. Selma was with me. The lady was like, remember Selma? The lady was like, this book is amazing. Like she was breaking everything. She did my cards. Remember, she did my cards and she was like, this is your main card. And then she read it per year at the age that I was at the time. And when I say, like, I did Kirk's, don't tell Kirk. You can actually read people anyway. I did Kirk because I told Kirk one, and it was down to the point where it even said he would have a fight with his sibling. And it happened, like, it was crazy. So if you get a chance, yeah, totally. Selma, we should do this like when we're talking later on, if you're down, because I'll have time after this live. But this is a great book. If you need an outside source, a lot of times what happens, Cards of Your Destiny, yes, it's an amazing book. I use it. I want to give you references so that you guys are power packed with your own tools rather than going to third parties, because I see a lot of you getting violated and parasited and pirated. And because of you're waking up and you're feeling insecure and you're not knowing if you're going in the right direction. Listen, if you don't know if you're going, remember Pinocchio? I don't know if you guys know the story of Pinocchio. Maybe this tells me age a little bit. Remember the story of Pinocchio? Pinocchio was a little boy and he wasn't real and he wasn't really secure about himself, and he stopped along the way and he trusted a fox, right? This fox, and the fox was dressed all skeevy and so on. it's kind of like you doing that. Like you are unaware because you're waking up. And remember, we've been lied to. You know, the Matrix is a lie. It's an interactive video game that's lying to you. It's basically told you things that are untrue. Many of the things that you grew up thinking were real aren't real. Many of the beings that you're surrounded by aren't human. So just by the nature of you living there, it builds a lot of insecurity in you. So it wouldn't be shocking that you would feel feeling out of sorts and wanting more security, or you want to be you want to get that peace of mind that you're going on the right path or where you should be going. So I understand what the incentive for you seeking these readers. But what I want to tell you, these YouTube streets are dirty. These YouTube streets are like the hood. It's like the South Bronx times 10. It's like going to the worst part of Jersey and New York and Cali all at once. It's like you got gangbangers called spiritualists and readers on every corner that are trying to do drive-bys with your third eye. So they're basically hijacking your car, which is your basic, your chi, and they're utilizing for self. So that's why I'm saying you got to be mindful in these YouTube streets. Not everything that glitters is gold. And I could care less how they say they could try to help you if they can't even help themselves in their lives. There was one young lady who's online now. Her whole life is chaotic, and I'm so sorry for it. But she calls herself a psychic reader. And she says she reads people, but her whole life fell apart online. And if she was a proper reader, she would have been able to detail or actually foresee that to maybe avoid it or be able to handle it in a way that wasn't so visually chaotic. So I'm saying, be mindful of the things that you are doing and people are so. Anyway, this book is thebomb.com. I love it. Amazing. I wouldn't have known it. Believe me, I wouldn't have recommended this book had I not vetted it out. It's a weird kind of reading, but it's on point as far as giving you a guide of what's going on energetically with you regarding your birthday. Now, a wonderful thing that I will say that I definitely do is I do my own clearing. Many of you know that the number one way that I access certain access points of information for myself is fasting. Fasting for me allowed me to access my ancestral codes, which allowed me to be able to manifest things heightened in a way where I could show up, like I went to Brazil, I'm twinning with my twin flame, I'm mating with my twin flame. All of these things became accessible based on me clearing myself physically. This is why I'm saying a lot of your spiritualists aren't fasters. Ask them the last time they fasted. Ask them if they documented their fast so that you can actually see them, because people will tell you they fast and really there was no document of them fasting. When I fasted, you guys all had a visual. Flurba was looking a little scantily, you know what I mean? Some of you got a little nervous for me. People in my real life were like, listen, I don't like seeing you fast, because you could visually see it. Make sure if you ask people things, you could vet it out, because if you ask somebody if they fast and they can't prove it, anybody can say anything. You can't prove anything unless you see it or it's documented visually. And with social media, if someone's fasting, everybody in the world likes to document things. So if you go into a reader and they say that they fasted and they're all on social media, but you've never seen them fast on social media, chances are it's a lie. So be mindful of that. Charlatans show up in all ways. They got all kinds of lies of mass destruction. Fasting is a wonderful way to access truth point, so you can access reference points in your DNA, which will lead you in the right direction if you need guidance. Another thing that I love is my crystal ball. I love my crystal ball. Not everybody is a reader of crystal balls. I love it. Why? Is because if you have a heightened awareness, you can actually see reference points in your crystal ball, which I did for New Year's reading. And we're actually starting to see some of it starting to show up a little bit. So people always ask how I have a good alignment of knowing things previous to it happening. It's because heightened awareness and being very self-aware also allows you good access point. So when you start clearing out and purging yourself and accepting yourself as you are, becoming more aware of yourself, who you are, even if you're a thottery, you like to drop it like it's hot. But you basically accept that. If you're the type of person that really is a geek and you like to do weird things and you've accepted that, being heightened in self-awareness also allows you access points to truth, meaning futuristic points of view, points of reference that you can access, and your heightened self-awareness will make you psychic naturally. Like, I will know when someone's calling or thinking about me, and it will show up. I can know when someone's been in my house, not in this house, but I know when people come in places where I'm going to be, because I already have an awareness of them coming away, coming in frequency. Like, whenever I go anywhere, it's 1000%. I've become to the point where I know there isn't any lies. There's even people on YouTube who seemingly are cool who I don't like. I don't like them. Why? Is because I know that there's something going on with them, whether they've been talking about me, whether they've been having malicious thoughts on me, maybe they're venomous, or maybe they're feeling like, Fleur is too much online. I can feel it, and they think that I don't know, but every time they show up, I feel I don't like them. And it's not something they're doing. It's whatever's underlined that I'm feeling. So there's people on YouTube that are part of my world who I know I don't rock with, because they've been maliciously underlying certain things, and I feel it. So I don't even have to even worry if that's correct or not, because I'm so self-aware. I know I don't want to rock with them. And I always tell people, if you know who I like, because I'll endorse them. I'm the easiest Sag. If I like you, I will shout you out all day. Aluna, I shout out. Nora, Selma. Who else? I shout out a couple of my sea stars and sun stars. You always hear me shouting Jennifer. Okay. A lot of my cipher crew. Most of my cipher crew. Let me say that. Most of my cipher crew, I shout them out. I like who I like, but I will tell you, family, because I'm heightened in self-awareness, RFG. I really appreciate RFG, because I think RFG personally probably wouldn't be somebody where we could chill for long periods of time, because RFG has a personality that's adverse to mine. Just personally. Like, RFG and me could kiki on different information, because I really respect his mind, and I know he vets things out. He's one of the best researchers as far as a lot of different metaphysical and historical points of value that I respect, this young man. RFG, but personally, we wouldn't jive, because we're very different personality-wise, and I'm much more seasoned. So I know the type of feel good I shout out. I like who I like, and it isn't saying I don't like people, but I'm so self-aware that I know who's in alignment with me. And even when I do videos, because I remember I did the video right now. I shared Rudolph of Germany. Many of you saw the video I shared with Rudolph of Germany. So someone texted me and said, "You're going to lose subscribers from putting that up there." And I said, have I ever been concerned about that? This is one of the channels that you won't hear me care. If I share something on my channel, subscribers is not the goal for Fleur Room. If that was the case, I wouldn't be a brown woman talking about my contact with ETs. I would be doing makeup tutorials. You know what I mean? I'd be doing twerk videos. If that was the type of person I was, I'd be shaking my rump on the video. Or I'd be putting like massive, you wouldn't see my bags ever. You wouldn't even know Fleur had bags, because you would never see me without makeup. If I was the type of person who cared, now my bosoms, I can't help. People always concerned about my bosoms. I'm a busty Babs, and I'm unapologetic. And when I came out on the YouTube scene, this was the biggest conversation. I'm grateful and I'm happy with my boobs. These fed my babies, and I'm happy. I'm look like my mama. I look like my grandma, and I'm proud of who I am. So I'm not trying to bust out of my shirt. If I was, I'd be opening up my shirt for you all the time. But I'm just saying that's not, that isn't my goal. That's all I'm saying. It isn't my goal. If you're on this channel right now, it means that you're based in unity consciousness. A lot of people don't. Let me explain something. A lot of people won't like my channel because I speak and care about so many different type of people. That's one of the reasons why my channel is more nominal, because I'm okay with lunars who come from different backgrounds as long as they're in the same frequency. I'm okay with brown people who come from the same frequency. I'm okay with Asiatics who come from the same frequency. I'm okay with certain ET groups that may be adverse to others, but they're okay with me. You understand? So I'm so unity based that I won't be part of the bigger collective. Because if you go on other people's channels, you'll see more of more of a one-sided personality and more of a one-sided consensus of belief system and patterns. We have many different beings on here. I accept them all as they are. You don't have to be perfect to come here. You certainly won't have to ever be requested to put makeup on or do your hair before you go on live with me. I won't ever criticize you for being sad or working on yourself or making yourself higher or trying your best. I won't ever hurt your children. I will only protect your babies. And that's one thing I say. All the people who are adverse to flirting would leave their children with me in a heartbeat, because there wouldn't be anybody to hurt their babies on my watch. So that's one thing you can always state with me. But other than that, yeah, we're international. We got every country on this site. I mean, we've got every neck of the woods, including the celestials and the inner earth beings and the elementals. Oh, if you guys don't get a chance to see, I saw with my little ones. I know I'm going to sidebar. I saw my little ones, Spider-Man. Did you see the new Spider-Man? Oh my God. The holographic technology. Listen, family, they're telling you everything. They're telling you everything. See the new Spider-Man. I took my little ones because we were trying to fit, because it was raining and we were going to go out to do stuff outdoors. And I was like, you want to go see a movie? He's like, yeah, mommy. We went to go see Spider-Man. I saw Spider-Man, the multiverse too, which was really good if you didn't see that with the little ones. And then I saw this Spider-Man. And it goes into the holographic technology. And we're probably going to get in. It was so good. I was shocked. I was kind of shocked to watch a movie like that. I didn't think, I thought they wanted to see it. I was like, just come, hey, bitchy girl. I just, sometimes I'm the mommy. As a mommy, I just, I want my little ones to be happy. So mommy, I don't have to, remember, it's 2 against 1. So if the little ones want to go see something, usually we all have a collective, and I was okay with seeing it, but I let them choose, and it's okay with mommy. I sat down and chilled out. It was a really great movie. So if you get a chance to watch it, go and see the new Spider-Man movie. It was off the chain. And also the Captain Marvel, which a lot of people didn't see, and it talks about reptilians and so on. They putting all the truth out there, family. I can't even fake the funk anymore, because if I tried to, it would all come out of the closet anyway. So as far as the spiritualist, everyone, I want you to utilize your own self-awareness as your guide and as your projector of your future. It is very necessary. Who's Flora Moon? Wellness and spiritual. I love to do an interview, Kiki, with, anytime, Floral. Thank you. Anytime you go to now, if you are unable and you feel like you need some vetting out and you need a spiritualist and you feel like you are lost in the sauce and you feel like you need guidance, if being self-aware, it's too much, it's hard for you because you're kind of imbalanced a little bit, I get it. So what I say to you is utilize the tools that I gave you. It is very necessary for you to be careful, just like you wouldn't want to go into surgery with, what's his name, Jigsaw. You wouldn't want to go and get surgery by Jigsaw, right? Because Jigsaw is going to cut you all apart. He may not put you back together the same way. That's not somebody you would want to go into surgery with. You would want to go into someone who's clean, who has a lot of integrity in the community, who is very vetted and has a clean slate of not throwing people under the bus, of someone who's financially healthy. If you're going to someone who has financial issues and is indebted to a heightened degree more than they have resources, that can also be transferred to you, or they can take on yours by the nature of being parasitic. Okay. So no, I'm not saying, someone, so I remember, one of our Cypher crew said it. One of the guys said it. What'd he say? It was like going to a Brokeback, Brokeback is like a gay term. No, not Brokeback. It was something they said as far as like going to going to buy a new car in the middle of the hood where there's no new cars. You know what I mean? It may look shiny, but chances are, did you see Martin? Martin Lawrence did something like that. Remember Martin? Wait. I don't know if you guys remember, Martin Lawrence wanted to go buy, or they went in the car and they went and they got in the car and they tried to drive. It's like vroom, vroom. And it was all on boxes. Got out, there was no rims, no tires. It's kind of like that. You have to watch these YouTube streets. Is a hood out there. This YouTube has turned into the cesspool of spiritualists. There's landmines, there's shapeshifters, there's hustlers. Remember, whenever we step it up, the levels and devils step it up too. So we're getting in a new realm of beings. We're going into another frequency. So now we're in an access point to other beings of more heightened pirating and heightened parasiting. So now you're just putting, you have to up your ante now. So your self-awareness should be heightened based on you raising your frequency. So you have to really vet people out. If you have a spiritualist that you can't vet out, chances are there's a reason for that, because a healthy spiritualist is transparent. You should see their family dynamics. They should be someone that you see their husbands and it's healthy. You should also see that they're flourishing in their financial arena, so that isn't the sole way that they collect their income. Because if it is, that's a form of parasiting too, because there's a violation of utilizing your spiritual gifts for money. Remember, there are beings here who reincarnated who are stripped of all of their psychic abilities because they were violating others in previous lifetimes. All the Merlin types, or the beings that were utilizing parasiting off of people with their spiritual gifts in previous lifetimes, they come in with nothing, zero, zilch, because they were violators. So they, like penal code 4444, they're on that. So they don't have any access point. So they come back mad and they will parasite off of you. Do you understand? So be mindful of that. If their physical characteristics are muted or not showing themselves, heightened amount of makeup, hair that looks interesting, they unhealthy and too much chunk, like too chunky. You wouldn't want a reading by somebody who has too much weight on them, because that means that they're not dispersing of the energy properly and they're holding it in. It means that they're not able to even clear themselves, because having too much weight is also a testament of holding on to trauma or protecting yourself from trauma. Okay. A lot of young ladies who've been molested or hurt, like especially, I remember, especially times, well, I bulked now because I just fasted. Fasting makes you bulk too. So just know that I'll be back to my normal weight around maybe 2 months from now, because I usually work out. So 2 months from now, but I'm not a reader. I'm not a reader. People say, well, what a Kiki session? A Kiki session is you talking to me. I'm a muse. I'm good at what I know, but I'm not going to read you. I can't tell you your future. I can't tell you anything. All I can do is just be a muse to you. That's it. All I can tell you is what I know and share that with you. That's what a Kiki session is about. Just basically me sharing my wisdom and knowledge, and that's it. I can't read you. Nor do I want to, because it would be a violation for me to do so in a very heightened way. You know what I mean? I don't want to know your personal business like that. Sometimes I see things, like I remember I saw something when I was doing Kiki session. I saw something on someone and it bothered me. Like I didn't even want to tell the person. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to say that. That's not right. You know what I mean? There's a certain violation to it. So getting with someone who's healthy, who's very transparent, who has a good reputation in their own life. If their family, if they have issues as far as everybody in the family is against them, even though we know that there's handlers everywhere, that's not a good person to go get a reading from, because they got people targeting them. And by the very connection, people, places, and things, you being attached or doing anything with them, you can leave yourself open to targeting based on you opening your opening your perimeters to somebody who has multiple shots, like tower over here, tower. Remember Sensei? Nora did this in her video. Tower over here, tower over here, tower over here. You leave yourself, they're getting they're about to get in a drive-by, and you just so happen to open up your shields, and a drive-by hit is going to hit them. But by the very nature, you being too close and you opening up your door, this going to hit you too. So that's another thing you have to be careful of. People who have too much karmic debt because they've been hustling people, they've been taking people's money without, lying and scamming and scheming. And now all of a sudden they want to be a reader. Just be mindful of that. Okay. So This, I hope, was a helpful video. I know it may, I don't know, you can take it as you would. I thought it was very poignant. I think, I was tired of hearing some of the sea stars saying they were getting taken advantage of, or they had beings attaching them to the etheric realm or coming in their the bedouar. So I knew that it came from having people doing readings or remote healing for them, and especially males. Now, males, I'm not hitting all spiritual males. I'm not saying that, but I personally won't have a male ever do a registered reading with me, because I know by the nature of males in this paradigm, especially the old patriarchy, that most males who get into this are parasites by nature, unless their parents, mind you, notice I'm putting a little disclaimer, unless they come from lineage. Sometimes mama was a witch. Sometimes mama was a Urobus. Sometimes mama was a voodooan. Sometimes mama was a shoe woman. Sometimes mama was a vundun. You know what I mean? So by the nature of him being in a household with witches and metaphysicians, then yes, he may be passed down with the knowledge and the paralysis to be able to do so. That does happen. So I want to leave that open, because I do know males who come from matriarchal lines of women who have been in the craft for centuries. So by the nature of coming from a womb of that kind of being, he will have her natural gifts. And also he'll probably just be more sweeter in nature based on coming from a matriarchal line. He'll probably have a little more, depending on the mama, because the mama was mama cursed people all the time, and mama was the one who people want to get roots on them. You got to know that too, because he gonna have some of those tendencies to want to put roots on you. Okay, so that I got to throw that out there. Just be mindful of who you go to, and I always suggest, rather than go to other people, start leveling up. If you are part of the paradigm that's going into 5D and above, you should have already leveled up enough to be able to register yourself, be heightened in awareness, and everything about you is psychically imprinted. So you register it before you even hit the door. Like I said, I know who's here, who's around. I can feel it. I feel people's intention. I told you online, there's people that don't like me, and they will act like they like me in person, like when they're talking to me. And I actually have the register, because I don't know what they're doing, but I already registered that I'm not feeling them. And they haven't done anything to me. So it lets me know that they're doing something diabolical. Either they're talking about me, or they have malicious feelings about me, or they just are not nice people in their general lives, and I feel it. So those are people I generally feel, and I don't have to, like I said, I don't have to ever call them out, but I won't shout them out either. I don't give them shout outs, and I don't really hate on them as far as like saying it out loud, because energy is energy. I've learned by shouting people out negatively, like Nature Knot, all that time, Nature Knot, when I brought out occasional videos, that was building him. And now he has a host of beings that are feeding him energetically based on bringing him up all the time. Because what you talk about negatively and talk about positively is all energy. It doesn't matter how it shows up, it's still energy. So you're still feeding. So I've learned that with being seasoned. So I won't ever shout out somebody negatively outwardly, because I know I'm feeding them. And I won't necessarily, but I'm okay with shouting people out positively, because I think it's healthy, and I'm okay giving that kind of energy out. I'm okay of dispersing that kind of feeding, that kind of energy out into the stratosphere. So I'm just reading comments. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope this was encouraging as well. And for those who are readers and psychic, this isn't an attack on you. This is me giving advice to people to level up so that they don't have so much reliance on you. How about that? It's me giving the encouragement for people to level up so that they can determine their own futuristic projections, as opposed to going to you to always have to do it, and you taking on their negative energy and their insecurities. So I hope it's a win-win for even the readers out here. So it isn't me taking away from you, because at the end of the day, the YouTube streets, they're going to be 50 million people who come to you regardless, because there's a lot of lost souls looking for somewhere to go to give them the hope, the dream, to feed them dreams. You know what I mean? So there isn't any taken away from you, any food from you. It's just me giving food to my own. You know, like I said, I feed my cubs, I feed myself, I feed my cubs, and I feed my people. And y'all are my people. So when my cup is overfilled, I feed y'all. And I come here and feed you. And it doesn't take anything away from me because it's my overfill. And I feel like it's necessary, especially when I'm seeing certain things coming out, you know, with beings coming in your bedroom and stuff like that. I just want to leave our family clean and free, because when I get to the sanctuary and people trying to come, our frequencies are going to already matched for those coming with me on sanctuary. So there won't be a need to cultivate each other, because we're already doing it now by being in sync with one another in a healthy way. So I feel like, you know, everyone should reach one, teach one. You know, someone said, why am I going to care about other people's kids? Because other people's kids will be around your kids eventually. Maybe not as children, but maybe as sociopathic killers later on. So it does matter. So if you can do better, show better, then do so. You know, everybody's going to touch eventually, because we're all into oneness. So it is necessary for us to take a little bit of incentive and really try to encourage everyone to be better and to really support it. And I do. I support everyone who loves me to do well, and I support everyone who doesn't love me to do well. I'm an equal opportunist in that. If you do better, I do better. If you level up, the world, the globe levels up. So there isn't any hardship to me sharing and encouraging for better behavior and a more uplifting, healthy way of procuring information based on yourself. So, all right, family, I think I talked to you forever today. I hope it was helpful. You know, level up, level up, level up, level up. And anyone who is, I was talking about Rudolph of Germany. I shared Rudolph of Germany's video because remember, Rudolph of Germany has been touching this platform for a long period of time. And he just basically disclosed that he was a brown being on another planet. You know, I share that because it also shows that we put too much emphasis on people's complexions a lot of times. It shouldn't matter if Rudolph doesn't feel good to you, it's because he doesn't feel good to you. It doesn't matter if he's a lunar, if he's a brown man, he would still feel the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I shared the video to show you levels and layers of ETs that come here that aren't, you know, we have issues here on this planet because we're sick and we've been cultivated and colonized by some diabolical beings who work on creating adversity based on complexion, religion, or what have you. They create coups. But I wanted to share that there's a being outside of here who claims, do I believe him? No, I believe that he believes that. And I believe that there are beings that do that. So if you watch the movie, I always gave you that movie to watch Under the Skin. There are a lot of beings here who are using human bodies, and they have come here from other worlds. And they don't look like the human body that they jumped into. So it doesn't matter if he's being truthful or not. The very story that he's sharing also evolves your perspective that obsessing with people's outer look all the time is why we're limited on this planet. It's totally why we're limited. If we know better, we do better. If you start feeling the vibration of beings, then we can supersede this visual that they've done. It's like a penal code. They kind of put us in like a prison system where it's color coded. So you know not to go to the orange side of the jail or the blue side of the jail because they told you that you're going to get shanked over there. Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to show you, yeah, he's possessing a body. That's what he's doing. And a lot of beings here are utilizing human bodies for reasons to present themselves in ways. And remember, he picked a body that was in home court advantage on this particular planet. So it wouldn't be odd. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if he's telling the truth or not. They do that. So he's just giving me the verbiage to translate that to everyone here so that we can get past that, because I'm okay with beings of all different colors, looks, backgrounds, as long as they're cohesive with the earth. They're here to assist us or to keep a healthy homeostasis. I'm okay with any being that is in that frequency. So it doesn't matter. That's why I'm saying I could care less what you look like. If you rock with the healthiness of the planet, if you're protective of the children, if you're cohesive with the trees and you want to protect the nature of Mother Earth and you want to help her level up, I'm all good with you. I could care. It's not that you don't matter what you look like. It's just that you match my desires and my goals. So that by the very nature means we're the same earthling. That's it. So I hope it was helpful. I'm going to leave now. I'm going to go and enjoy myself. I can't drink any more coffee. I'm lowering my coffee. Go get some of this bamboo. If you're on my IG, you know I love this bamboo because I'm allergic to the coconut husk charcoal, but the bamboo charcoal that I got, I'm enjoying this life on the earth. I'm so grateful to be an earthling on this planet. I'm so grateful to be able to be here at this time of ascension during a great conjunction that's about to come in with the twin flames popping in. We're going to get into runaway twin flames on another video. I'm not going to talk about it now because I was going to make the video on that, but I was like, I'll wait to do that. Runaway twin flames. We're going to get into that conversation. So I'm excited. I'm just happy. I'm really grateful to be on this planet. I'm grateful to have met every single one of you, even you that don't really feel me. I'm really grateful that even the ones who give me the toughest times, you show me aspects of myself and reflections of myself that make me level up and heal something about my insecurities that show up in you. So my little ones are dancing now. That's mommy's cue to go. I think it's awesome. Enjoy your time on this planet because it's about to shapeshift. So anything you decided to do, if you've never driven a car fast on a highway or you want to take that speed car ride, do it. If you want to make a love underneath the waterfall, go do it. If you always wanted to go and fly to Paris and go on Le Tour Eiffel, do it. This is the time because the planet's about to shapeshift. So get your bucket lists out, family. Live your best life and enjoy this ride. This is why you're here in human form. A lot of beings would want to be in your position. Don't take it for granted. All right. So I love you, family. Peace, earthlings and others. I'll check you out in another live. Peace. Peace. Peace, 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 peace.